Hey folks, this is going to be a little bit of a different video from the usual ones. My first videos have been more like more dry. Let's put it that way, more focused on specific topics. So this is going to be a vlog, basically, right? So in this case, it's more of a video journaling session, right? So I'm not going to show you around what I do throughout the day or anything like that, but I'm not going to show you where I take vacations or anything like that. But I think it's quite fitting. I mean, certainly not for every channel out there, right? To just sit down and talk about your thoughts and stuff and what is going on. But given that this is a self-knowledge focused channel, I think it makes a lot of sense. Because I do remember watching Shroud. You may have heard of him. He's a gamer, so he's an ex-professional Counter-Strike player, and he had been streaming on Twitch TV, which is a gaming streaming platform. Although it's also used for different stuff, creative stuff, and that sort of stuff. But I watched him for quite a while, and I really, even though I'm not into gaming much anymore, I don't play games anymore, although I have in the past, certainly. And I often really liked just the exposure to him, just to watch him play games and just interact with his friends and talk to his chat, right? And you know, fundamentally, I think he's just a nice guy, right? A really nice guy, and so I just learned some things from him, right? So in that way, it was, like entertainment that I like to have. Like for me, personally, entertainment is stuff that usually I entertain myself with videos when I eat food. That's typically I don't just lay down or sit down and watch something without doing anything else. I like to entertain myself with stuff that really helps me grow in some way, at least. Maybe it gives me some insight about a field of knowledge, learn something about something, or I get a laugh, or there's something thought-provoking. And so typically I don't watch series or anything like that, although I do like South Park a lot. I watched every South Park episode, and South Park for me was a lot of thought-provoking stuff here and there, because the early episodes, of course, were quite a bit simpler, but still funny for sure. But especially like as the series progressed, became a lot more social commentary, and a lot of stuff that really got me thinking. When you for the first time see in the typical, in the media, in a way, in a series, in a TV series, that there could be another way. Like it might not be true what the mainstream media is telling us, and so that's a kind of entertainment I like to watch. Anyway, where was I going with this? I don't even remember, honestly. But you may hear that I'm a little bit, my voice is not as usual, and I actually caught a cold, which is pretty unusual for me. I mean, the last cold that I caught was probably 4 to 5 years ago, and so it's really quite a deal for me. The symptoms are very mild. In fact, the symptoms have been extremely mild, only a sore throat for the past 2 days, and today a little bit more than that. But I'm still feeling quite solid. And it couldn't be coming at a more curious time, because this is February the 5th of 2020. And if you watch this in the future, right, I sure you know the answer to whether the new coronavirus has actually, developed into a full-on pandemic, but it has been declared as a pandemic at this point. And so, I did actually consider the possibility that I caught the new coronavirus, because, I mean, as I said, it's very unusual for me to catch a cold. So, it is a viral infection, so it might as well be that. But realistically speaking, the chances are very low. I mean, in Germany there are, I think, the cases are in the low 2 digits at the moment of all the confirmed cases. And of course, the actual amount of cases is much higher than that, probably because a lot of people do not have severe symptoms or are just not being tested for it, etc., etc. But even if we assume there are 100 cases, or, at the time, like let's say 3 days ago, the chance that I maybe caught the virus when I was in the public swimming pool facility is still extremely low, right? So let's be real about that. But it's a funny thought. I mean, maybe it is going to really spread very, very far, because the average amount of people that are being affected by one person who has the virus is definitely above 2, and so it has definitely the potential to become a global pandemic. So that's not a good start into the new decade. You may have watched or read my article about the new decade. I think it's called Why the 2020s Will Be an Incredible but Possibly Disastrous Decade. And in it, I also talk about the inevitability of a financial crisis, of an economic collapse, and possibly a new monetary system. And really, if the new coronavirus would develop into a global pandemic with, thousands or millions of people being infected at least, and the results for the economy, of course, are pretty severe, then this could be the black swan, some people call it, like the black swan. I don't know where this metaphor comes from, but the trigger for that upsets the very, very unstable economy at this point. And so we'll see about that. I certainly am prepared. So I am following this very, very closely, and I am taking it very seriously. And the mainstream media has been downplaying this virus outbreak for quite some time now. And I think that's more an indicator that this is something serious, something to look at, rather than not, because typically the mainstream media is wrong in these times, right? There were no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and there's no. And Great Britain has not become Siberia, and all the scare about climate change, and a couple of decades ago was that the whole world is going to freeze, and now it's the whole world is going to be underwater, and all of that all of those scare stories. So when the mainstream media pumps up stuff that turns out to not be true at all, even though it comes at a very high cost of millions of people dying in the Iraq war. And they downplay something that a virus that is much more deadly, has much more a much higher complication rate than the ordinary flu. If they downplay that, even though the data is demonstrating something very different, then I think you can really take their word, invert it, and change your actions according to that. And that's what I've been doing. So that's going to be interesting. Now, given that this is my first vlog and that I publish, I want to give a little bit of context. So this video journaling session, I have done video journaling for a little while now. And I really do see it as a natural progression from all the other endeavors of self-exploration that I have engaged in over the past couple of years. And it all started in 2014, and when I came across Free Domain, the philosophy community, and that really gave me the kick to really journal a lot. And so sitting down to type on my computer, that's what it was. Really. So I journaled almost every day, and also I did some audio journaling parallel to that. So typically a couple of times a month was really helpful to just talk about stuff, right? It's a different medium, and I think it really certainly helped me to just talk it's like talking to somebody else about what the issues that I find most important. And when I stopped journaling in 2017, I continued to audio journal, right? And I still audio journal regularly, but as I said, I do not ever really sit down to journal anymore. And so the video journaling really is the natural progression, right? The only change in the stuff in this phenomenon is the medium, right? So go from text to audio to video, really. And I have a lot of love for the video format. I mean, YouTube has just shaped a lot of who I am today, and I'm very, very thankful for the internet, for YouTube, that I got so much out of YouTube, and I have so much love for video. It's just a format that works very well for me. I am a very visual guy. I do not like reading very much, and so at this point I'm almost certain that I will never stop making videos for my entire life, because I really do want to influence the world. I really do want to present to the world what I have to offer, because I really do think that there are people out there who really would appreciate that, and I'm very certain about that. And so I really, video to me is the ultimate format. I mean, there is a place for podcasting. I mean, I'm a big fan of listening to podcasts, but really I do that, when I typically when I'm at work on my day job, a simple job, I can listen to podcasts very easily there, and it's a very nice opportunity, and I have done so for many years. Now it's kind of optional because I don't get a whole lot out of the Free Domain podcasts anymore, and I don't listen to any other podcast series. But there are a lot of people who like podcasts as well. When you commute, I mean, that's the opportunity to listen to podcasts. But video, to me, is really a fascinating topic, because I mean, it's kind of like podcasting, but it has another dimension to it, which I find very powerful. And so yeah, I wanna start this, and I wanna see if there are people who might like this format, of me just talking about what's going on. And really, the only change that this is in comparison to the other video logs that I've done in the past couple of months. First, I started out with my smartphone, which really has a pretty abhorrent video quality, but then I got the camera, and that made it much better, shareable, I would call it. Really, the only change is that I talk to you guys, but everything else really the same. This is really the journaling that I want to do now. This is the natural progression. From in terms of the kind of stuff that I talk about, right? So when I started out journaling, it was very, very personal and very specific, and what happened today and what are my thoughts about this specific issue. But it's really a wonderful thing, for me at least, to discover that as the years went on, the more I did this, the more abstract, the more impersonal, the more evolved, and I think more applicable to many people, the journaling became. And in that way, I think this format does have potential for sure. Because on one hand, I like the videos that I've done thus far, but I don't love them, and I'm not sure about whether I really want to invest in that so much. In let's take one topic about self-knowledge, about how you can work on something thought-provoking, ideas about self-knowledge, about philosophy, about physical health, mental health. There's some preparation, of course, in that, and that's not a whole lot of fun. I think it's necessary when I talk, when I want to make the video very specific. But I really do feel a lot more keen to do this kind of vlogging style, because it really gets me just talking about stuff. And I do think that there are people out there who like this. And if you like to, you can let me know if you like it, and maybe what I should talk about. But yeah, that's really